What if you suspected your partner had a secret lover? You could just feel it in your gut. Something in your relationship changed, and you're convinced your partner is seeing, or even worse, having sex with someone else. Maybe you start snooping and sniffing around to see what this could-be cheater is up to. You might try to get into their phone and their computer, or do some low-key stalking. But what if this lover was right there in plain sight? Maybe your spouse's secret lover is your best friend, your neighbor, or your cousin. As horrible as that sounds, unfortunately, it's not so uncommon. But what if your spouse moved their lover right into your own house? You think it's impossible? Then you need to hear my guest today. My guest today is a woman whom we're going to call Virginia. Virginia, I thank you for being a fan of the show and for writing in to share your story. Virginia, welcome to Cheating When Love Lies.
Thank you, Julian. Nice for having me.
Virginia, your story is juicy and quite unusual. Let's start by saying that you are a mistress. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
How long have you been with your lover?
14 years.
14 years.
Yes.
Where did you and your lover meet?
We met in 2008 at work. He already had been working for a couple years, well, a lot of years for this company, and I had just came on board. I came in a new position, which brought me over to his place of location, and that's how we met.
Okay. When you started working together, were there romantic feelings from the beginning, or did the relationship gradually develop?
Not at all. It gradually developed, but to be honest, it developed in a way that I don't think that either of us really knew that something was developing. Well, first of all, we became co-workers. Then after being co-workers, and we would see each other every day.
Yeah.
We started going into conversations about our personal lives, and he would tell me of some situations that he was going through.
Personally?
Personally, yes.
How deep did he go? Was he talking about his wife and saying, I'm unhappy?
No. He never told me straight up, I have a wife. But in conversations with him, he did mention her. But he never said, look, I'm a married man.
So I guess he wasn't wearing a ring.
No, he wasn't. He doesn't wear one.
Ladies, watch out, because people think that if you're wearing a ring, it's a sign. There's so many men, particularly in work environments, that don't wear rings just for that purpose. Okay, so you had no ring to give you an indication, but he's being somewhat direct about the fact that he has a wife.
Correct.
Did you ever say to him, so, are you married? Or how did you learn that he definitely had a wife?
I never asked him the question because it was very obvious in our conversations that he was married. So I didn't really want to go in that. I didn't want to go too much in depth. I thought that was going too much into his private life. Okay. And like I said, we were just coworkers at the time. Okay.
How did the fact that he was married affect your feelings toward him or how you behaved around him?
Well, first of all, his wife, even though they worked in the same company,
she works there too.
But she was stationed in one state, not too far, and he was stationed in another. So we were never all of us together.
Okay.
There wasn't a way that I needed to behave around him because she really wasn't around.
Maybe you were behaving a certain way because you're thinking, wow, this guy and I are developing a friendship. I'm starting to develop some closeness with him, but I know he's married, and therefore...
Yeah, this sounds kind of weird, but I was married at the time.
Oh.
Yeah, I was married at the time, but my marriage was in shambles. I mean, there was infidelity. There was a bunch of lies. He didn't want to work to support the family. So pretty much all the weight was on my shoulders. So I was like, I'm done with this.
I hear you.
So when I met him, I was really not in a good place. But then I meet him. I see this, I find this friendship in him, aside from being a coworker. And then he was being so nice. Like he would take me out to dinners or he would buy food to eat at the office. We would watch TV because he had a TV in his office. We would watch TV together in his office. So we were spending a lot of time together. But at that point, I still was not realizing that something was starting between us. And he never said anything to me either. It wasn't till later on that I was like, all right, I feel like something is going on here.
Okay, freeze frame. What was it that made you realize that, quote, something is going on?
It was the day that he called me at a job and he said, you know what, why don't we meet outside the building? He said, I'm going to take you somewhere today. He's like, and I'm pretty sure you're going to enjoy it.
Where'd you go?
So I arrived very innocently. I thought we were going to go to dinner to some special restaurant or something, but that wasn't the case. He actually took me to a motel.
And now, a word from our sponsor. I'm going to challenge you, if I may. You're saying I'm going to meet him innocently because we're only going to have dinner. Did you at the time feel comfortable going to dinner with somebody who was married?
Well, yes, because this wouldn't have been the first time. We already had been doing it. I'm talking about, I don't know, maybe in the lapse of 4 or 5 months. So it was nothing strange for me to think that we were going to dinner. Because it wasn't just only me. Sometimes we would even take the supervisor with us.
Understood.
So it wasn't just him and me alone.
Okay, so it's an epiphany when suddenly you're not going to dinner, you're going to the motel.
Yeah, so he's driving, and I'm like, okay. So, but when we get to the place, that's when I realized, oh my God, what am I doing here with this man? You know, and at the same time, I'm still thinking, even though my marriage wasn't in a good place, but I'm thinking, you know, I'm a married woman. I can't be doing this. So we go into the motel room, and
I'm just laughing because you're like, as I'm walking into the motel, I'm thinking, I can't be doing this. I'm with you. We're all human, but go ahead.
Yeah. So when we get in, I said, I can't do this. I said, I'm so sorry. I said, I didn't know this is where we were coming to, and I'm very sorry. I can't. He's like, you know what? I understand and I respect that. He's like, hey, I'm not going to obligate you to do something that you do not want to do.
Okay.
But, you know, we stayed there. We had a very nice conversation. We watched TV. We watched the movie.
No making out? Nothing?
Nothing.
Not one kiss?
Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
All right.
So I was very nervous. I was confused about everything.
Right.
I was in shock. So nothing happened that day. So he went and took me back to my car. I think it was about 10 that evening.
Okay.
When he took me back to the car. And, you know, we said goodnight, you know, like we always would. And he went on his way and I went on home.
What did your husband say when you got home at 10 o'clock at night?
Well, that's the time I would get home every night.
Understood. Okay.
Yes.
Now, did you tell him, oh, honey, I was with, let's call your lover Ben. I was with Ben tonight. Did you tell him what you had been doing?
No, not at all.
Okay. So then what happens? You go home that night. He goes home that night. And how are you the next day at work? How does your interaction change as a result of this motel incident?
Yes. Well, the next day when I come to his office, to his building, you know, we greeted each other just like always. Yeah. But I was nervous. And I told him, I said, we need to talk. I said, what happened yesterday should have not happened, even though nothing happened. I said, but I should have never even been in a motel with you. You know, I'm a married woman.
Well, you could have left. No judgment.
Yeah, I could have left.
You could.
But you know what? I didn't have my car with me.
Well, you could have said, take me to my car. Where I'm getting with this is isn't the blame game. It's, I feel like there's some sort of internal dialogue happening with you where you're thinking, there's a world in which I could leave the current guy that I'm with and be moving toward this other one.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you for acknowledging that. Okay.
Yes. So I told him, I said, look, I think we've gone a step too far, and I think we just need to leave it here. Then he said, you know what? I respect your decision. Whatever you decide to do, whatever you want to do, I'll go with it. He's like, I just don't want our friendship to end. I don't want our work relationship to end.
Okay.
We can continue on like nothing happened.
Okay.
And I said that's fine. But in my head, I'm thinking, you know what? In order for me to separate from this situation, I'm going to have to quit this job.
Did you?
I did not, but I did mention it to him. I had actually put in my resignation, and I put in my 2 weeks notice. And 1 week into putting that notice, he was like, you know what? can I have a conversation with you?
Oh, boy.
And he said, look, I really don't want you to leave.
Wow.
He's like, not because
of me,
but, you know, we work really well together. He's like, I've gotten to know you a lot. And so I ended up, after having this conversation with him and thinking that we were going to be, you know, in a good place, in a respectful relationship, I said, you know what? Okay. So I talked to my boss and I said, I'm going to resend my notice and I'll stay.
Okay. So after the motel, you go your separate ways back to your respective spouses. You come back to work. You have the conversation. You smooth things over. You still work there. He still works there. But you told me in our earlier conversation that something happened with you financially, that you became somewhat financially unstable. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. Because like I mentioned, my ex-husband now, he didn't want to work.
So how does your lover respond when you tell him about your financial difficulties?
You know, I explained to him, you know, I'm kind of backed up with my rent. He said, how much money do you need? And I told him, he's like, all right, I'm going to give you this money, but I need you to stay on top of it. You know, and if it's a problem for you to actually have this apartment, let's talk about it. So I go and I came up to date with my rent and I continue living in this apartment. Now he had a key to this apartment. He would come to the apartment all the time, almost on a daily basis, even on the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
So finally he came home one day and he found an eviction notice on the door.
Wait, so he's paying your rent and there's an eviction notice on the door?
He helped me this one time to get me out of the hole.
Okay,
yeah.
But meanwhile, you're going down the rabbit hole of financial difficulties. You can't keep up. He comes over, sees the eviction notice. Then what does he say?
All right, you're going to be evicted, and I can't allow this to happen. I have a huge house. It's only us two and my mom and my two pets. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna let you. I can't let you be evicted. Mm-hmm. He's like, what I am going to do is I'm going to bring you to live with me to my house.
Wow! You're going to live with your lover, we'll call him Ben, his wife, and his mother.
Yes. Yes. And that's exactly what happened.
Sorry, I'm speechless. Give me a second.
Yeah. I know. It's
now, what's the sentiment running through your head at this point, Virginia? Are you feeling justified? Are you feeling, yeah, he's my lover. Why not? What's your feeling? I understand the sense of necessity, quote unquote, on your part. Mm-hmm. Where am I going to do? Where am I going to go? But what's the sentiment in your heart? Do you feel like you're justified to move into the woman's house?
Well, I don't necessarily feel that I was justified, but this to me meant that this man loved me. That's how I took it. You know, that he's so concerned and worried about me, that he wants to make sure that I'm always well. And he wants to make sure that I always have a roof over my head. So I was okay. You know, I was like, okay, you know, he told me, I'm going to give you the entire basement. We're going to convert the basement into an apartment. You're going to have your own kitchen. There's it already has a bathroom, and you'll be okay. And you will not have to pay rent.
What did he say to the wife? Who were you in terms of the wife? Who did she think that this very attractive, I can see you, the audience won't, but very attractive person is that's moving into her basement? Who were you?
Still till today, I don't know what took place between them.
Come on. Do you have to have some indication? You're a cousin. You're a friend. I mean, who?
No. She knew that I wasn't a cousin because eventually I got to meet her at work. So I had met her before at work.
Oh,
and
before
she knew who I was.
Okay.
She knew that I was a coworker.
Wow.
So what I assume is that he must have came to her and said, look, she's in this situation. She already knew the appreciation that he had for me. That she did know. What I do know is that he never told her that I was not going to pay rent. I'm pretty sure that he must have told her, we're going to give her the basement. She's probably going to pay X amount of money. She's going to help out and blah, blah, blah.
Okay. What's your perception of him at the time? You're saying his allowing me to move into the basement rent-free. Did you pay for food or gas or
no, I still till today, I don't pay for food.
14 years living in the basement of this couple's house. You have zero expenses.
Yeah, zero expenses. I've been living here for For 12 years.
Okay, 12, 14. I don't think that's the major part of the story. But yeah, I hear you. And now, a word from our sponsor. I've been using Nutrafol for months now, and my hair is looking stronger, thicker, and healthier than ever. And it feels so good to finally feel good about my hair. And I'm not alone. In a clinical study, 86% of women reported improved hair growth after just 6 months. With results like that, it's no surprise that more than 1,500 top doctors recommend Nutrafol as an effective and high-quality solution for healthier hair. Ladies, get in on the healthy hair action. To get started, visit Nutrafol.com and take their hair wellness quiz for personalized product recommendations. And who doesn't love a self-care quiz? You can grow thicker, healthier hair and support our show by going to Nutrafol.com and entering the promo code CHEATING to save $15 off your first month subscription. This is their best offer anywhere, and it's only available to U.S. customers for a limited time. Plus, free shipping on every order. Every order. Get $15 off at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code CHEATING. Healthier, shinier, fuller hair is just weeks away. I know it because I use Nutrafol. What do you think about this person at the first year and at the 12th year, knowing that he's being dishonest with the wife, telling her a false story? What's your perception of him? Is there anything beyond the fact that I know he loves me? Do you have any other sentiments about a man that would behave in this way?
At the time, not really.
What about now?
My sentiments now are all over the place. I felt fine. I really didn't see anything. I didn't see anything wrong in it. I mean, he wasn't bringing me to his house as his mistress.
Yes, he was, because he took you to the motel. So we knew that he had that intent.
Yeah, he was, but that was just between him and me. So I didn't really think anything bad of it at the time.
Okay, let's fast forward the 12 years. Today, do you look at Ben and be like, well, you know what? I understand it, and I don't see any issue with it. Or do you?
Now I do.
What's the issue?
Well, the issue is that, first of all, I'm betraying his wife because she has become my friend. She has been like a second mom. She has cared for me when I've been sick. She's the one who feeds me.
What do you mean she feeds you?
Well, she's the one who cooks.
Oh, God.
And when she cooks, she's the one who calls me, come downstairs, dinner's ready or lunch is ready. So she's done a tremendous amount of things that, I don't know, that nobody else has really done for me. And this is why I see that now this situation is a really bad situation.
Let's go into the moment. Virginia, dinner's ready. You go upstairs, you sit down at the table, and you're sitting across from this woman knowing that you're having sex with her husband. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel like shit. I feel everything. I feel ashamed. I feel embarrassed. I feel guilty. I feel like I don't have even a face to look at her straight in the face.
How do you look her in the face with those feelings?
I don't know, some way, somehow I've been able, it's been so many years that I've been able to kind of learn to live like this.
You're accustomed to it.
Yeah, but it's not that I feel good about it. Not at all.
I understand that. So that's how you feel at the dinner table looking at her. Let's turn to the right and look at him. How do you feel at him when you're at the dinner table? Knowing that he's got his mother, his wife, and his mistress. And he's lying to the wife, lying to the mother, and you're the mistress. We're looking at him. What's your sentiment about him?
Well, right now, my sentiment is, I would really like not to say this, but I have to be very honest.
Please.
Although I love him to death, and he knows it, and he is, to me, he's the love of my life. I see him as not a good person, as not being truthful. Obviously, he's not a faithful person. He's not honest. And how can you, I don't know. I mean, I
Keep going. I think you're doing a great job. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't understand how he does it. Because he's just so calm in this situation, and there's no expression. There's no that I'm wondering, like, where did this guy come from? Mm-hmm. You know, how can you not feel something?
I'm with you 100%. I'm glad to hear that you have these conflicting feelings, because I wasn't really sensing that you're seeing there's a dark side to this person. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You said you have children, yes?
Yes, I do.
And are they adults or kids?
I have 2 that are adults. Well, 3 that are adults. The other 2 are still underage.
Like how underage? 6 or 18?
No, 16 and 17.
Okay.
Those are the younger ones.
You have 5 children, 3 adults, and 2 that are 16 or 18. Yeah. Where are the kids? Do they live with you? Or live with
one
all
is married.
No, the 16-year-old and 18-year-old.
No. They live with their dad in another state.
Okay. Do those 2 younger children know about your situation? Do they know that you're the mistress? Does their father know that you're the mistress?
He suspects. He's always suspected, but he doesn't have it in concrete. He's never seen us together. He knows that I live here.
Right, but he doesn't know what's going on.
But he doesn't really know what's going on.
What about the 3 older children? Do they know?
My oldest son, yes, he does know.
Ooh, what's he saying?
He's upset. He doesn't want me to be in this situation. He's upset at both of us. Uh-huh. Because this is the thing. My oldest son and my second oldest son, they actually lived with me here in this house for a while.
Come on! They're living with you in the basement in your lover and his wife's house. Is that correct?
Yes.
What are you telling those 2 kids?
I'm not telling them anything.
Oh, God.
I'm not telling them anything. Well, I don't know if I really put them in a bad situation necessarily. I mean, they were living their lives. I mean, they were going to high school. They would come and go. I mean, they would see him. He was always friendly with my kids. And they knew that he was my boss at work. So it wasn't like they didn't know of him. They knew of his existence. What they did not know was of my relationship with him.
Do you think, be as honest as you can and take a moment if you need to reflect. Mm-hmm. Do you think that when they were teens living in that house that they ever suspected something here is off? I suspect that there could be something between Mom and Ben.
My oldest son, yes. I think he suspected.
Mm-hmm. And how did that make you feel at the time to know that he could suspect the truth, that his mom is a mistress living in his lover and wife's house? How did that make you feel?
I'm going to mention something, but I can't go into details about it.
Nope.
But
okay.
my son, he took his frustration out about our situation on him.
On him?
Ben.
On Ben.
Ben.
Aha.
And my son did something very, very ugly.
Okay.
That he ended up
paying a high price for.
Yeah, a very high price. And then, of course, he was never allowed to come back to this house.
Do you believe that Ben will commit to you at any point? Right? It's been 12, 14 years. Do you think that one day Ben is going to say, wife, I'm sorry, I can't do this anymore, and commit to you?
He's tried several times.
Tried? What do you mean by tried?
Yeah. He has had conversations with her.
He can't have had conversations with her that were honest unless she's extraordinarily accepting. I can't imagine that he went to her and said, wife, my mistress has been living in the basement for 12 years. Let's talk.
No, that's not how it went.
Oh.
They've had their issues that are far away from me. So because of these other issues they've been having, he had been talking to her about just separating and going separate ways. Of course, he's never, ever going to tell her that it's because of me.
Do you think she knows?
I honestly think she knows.
Me too. I mean, how could you not know?
Yeah, how could you not know?
As we're all women, I just feel like the women's intuition, and even men, like you're going to observe. There's the sixth sense. He's got to walk by you and brush by you or touch you or just look at you in a certain way. She has to know.
Yes. I'm Hispanic.
Okay.
And in our culture, even though there's a lot of cheating and there's a lot of mistresses and whatever you want to call it, it is not something that a wife accepts that easily. That's not permitted.
She has.
So for him to tell her that he has a mistress, she'll kill him. She'll kill him.
Do you have sex with him in the house?
Yes.
And how does that happen? Is she upstairs or?
What happens is that she's an early bird. She goes to bed very early.
Okay.
So after we get home from work, she's probably with us like for an hour, 2 hours max, while she's making lunch for the next day or watching a little bit of TV. Then she goes upstairs. He and I, we always stay downstairs watching TV until 11 midnight.
So you're not in the basement anymore. You're in the room down the hall having sex while she's sleeping.
No. We don't do that either. We only have sex in my bedroom when she's not in the house.
Oh,
but when but when she's home,
yes,
and she's up in her bedroom,
yes,
we have the basement, we have the family room, we have the living room, we have all these bunch of others because this house is huge. A lot of times we just go to the basement, or if not, just in the family room while we're watching TV.
Aren't you nervous that she's going to like show up? Ben, I have a pain in my back. Can you help me? And bam, you're there. You don't get, like, how do you even perform?
I do get nervous, and I think about this all the time. We can actually hear her footsteps, and she's going to come out the bedroom.
Virginia.
Virginia. Still till today, after all these years, there has not been one time that she has come downstairs after she goes upstairs.
What's your mom saying?
She's not happy. She has talked to me many times about the situation. I grew up Christian. So, my parents always talked to me about what they taught me, what I learned going to church, what the Bible says about this. I know that what I'm doing is immoral, but I also tell my mom to try to understand me that I feel like I'm stuck in this situation. Because to me, it's very, very difficult to leave someone that you love so much as I love him.
And that's why I keep asking you, how do you feel about him? Because you can't deny that there must be some other very strong sentiment about a man who's having sex with his mistress in the bedroom down the hall. Tell me that you don't look at him in a different way.
Of course I do. Of course I do. And I have even had thoughts that I've thought, okay, if this man does become single.
How is he going to separate from her? Via divorce? You're telling me that he's not wanting to get divorced. Like, what's going to make him suddenly wake up and say, I want a divorce?
Well, I don't think it's necessarily him that doesn't want a divorce. She's the one who doesn't want a divorce. When he's talked to her about them divorcing, she goes haywire. And she starts throwing stuff and starts setting things on fire. So that has kind of been set to a side. He and I have discussed this topic, and it's pretty much, it is what it is. I think he does love her after all.
Well, there you go. I think that he loves this woman. He's in love with you. And for whatever reason, he's afraid he's trapped, or maybe he's just a son of a bitch. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that he is, but he could be.
Yeah.
He's not leaving.
Yes. He's not going anywhere. I think he's been very honest in saying, look, this is my situation. I feel like I have to be in this.
So where does that leave you? Are you going to do this for the next 14 years? Again, I just want to tell everyone listening, you're a good-looking woman. Beautiful teeth. You just smiled.
Thank you.
Can't see your eyes because you have sunglasses on. But
these aren't sunglasses. These are prescription, but I'll take them off.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're even better looking without your glasses. You are smart. You're hardworking. Are you going to do this for the next 14 years?
I hope not. I have, in my little faith that I still have in God, I have asked him many times.
To what, please?
That I want to be out of this situation.
Why do you want to be out?
Because it's not, this is not living a fairy tale. This is very painful. For you to see the man that you love with somebody else. Mm-hmm. And although I know she's his wife, and I know that maybe there's no future for us, I'm still here, but not because I'm loving this life, not because there's anything pretty about it. Mm-hmm. Other than moments, there's nice moments, there's happy moments, but that's it. It's just moments.
What role do you play in determining how you move forward in your life?
I would love to move forward. I just haven't found the strength and the willingness or the strength, the courage to actually to pick up my stuff, to take everything with me and say, I'm not coming back.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about what it would take for you to find that strength and that courage. And I applaud you for being so honest and vulnerable to be able to say, I don't have the courage. Not a lot of people would do that. They just keep making up excuses.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. What would it take? A better job with more money? Finding someone else? What's going to be the catalyst for change?
I don't know myself. One of the things that I know that would obligate me to have to leave this situation, obviously, is if his wife finds out.
She'll find out if you walk up the stairs and tell her.
Yeah.
Is that ever going to happen?
No. I would never do that to her. But I've gone through situations where my husbands have had mistresses.
Yes.
And I know how hard and how difficult it is. And I would never have the guts to tell her in her face that her husband is cheating on her with me. Oh, God forbid me. No.
You're saying I wouldn't have the guts to tell her that I'm the mistress, but I do have the guts to have sex with her husband in the bedroom down the hall. And now, a word from our sponsor. When we spoke earlier, I had asked you if you wanted to come into the studio for the interview.
Yeah.
And do you remember what your answer was to me?
Yeah, that I would not be allowed to.
Allowed.
I'm not allowed to go anywhere without him.
Does he physically prevent you from leaving? How does he not allow you?
Well, between us, we have rules.
Rules?
Yes. When we first began a relationship, he pretty much laid everything out. And he was like, if we're going to be in a relationship, this is how it's going to be.
What are the rules?
One of the rules is that he doesn't allow me to have friends. Another one is that I do not go out anywhere without his knowledge or his authorization. That includes my family's homes. Obviously, I don't get to see anybody else. That's a huge no. And I have never even intended to see somebody else. I don't get to travel by myself. I mean, it is a very tight relationship. I mean,
tight.
He also has his boundaries things that I don't allow, but he accepted them just like I have accepted them.
Does that feel like love to you? Do you receive that as a form of love?
Now I don't. For many years, I did.
How hard is it not to have friends? Do you really mean that you don't have any friends?
I don't. I have coworkers who, they're not necessarily my friends, but but only at work.
You can't go out and have drinks or go out and have...
No. Not allowed. No. And he doesn't do it either.
It's so upsetting to me that you perceived that as a form of love at a time when it is so incredibly abusive.
Yes.
And I'm glad to hear that now you recognize how twisted and abusive that is. What rules did you impose upon him? And does he follow them?
Well, I kind of have to go back in history. When I moved to his house, I was not aware of the kind of relationship that he and his wife had. Because we had never gone in depth about his relationship with his wife. I only knew that he had one. That was it.
Right.
We never discussed anything. So when I moved to this house, I see that there's a lovey-dovey relationship between them two. And I said, look, there has to be boundaries here because you cannot forget that I have feelings towards you. And I could give a shit if she's your wife. I have feelings for you. So when I'm present, There is no hugging. There is no kissing with her. You have to watch the way that you talk to her in front of me. When we go out, I don't want to see you holding hands. Obviously, if she reaches out to grab your hand, well, I'm not going to tell her, don't touch him. Mm-hmm. So what he does is he finds a way, either he takes out his phone or he finds a way to kind of let go of her hand. Because she loves to hold his hands when we go out.
Do those rules seem fair to you?
No, they don't.
But you do it because?
I do it because I feel that even though what we're doing is not right, he has to respect my feelings.
Well, sorry, but I think the word respect belongs nowhere in this conversation. There's no respect happening anywhere. Do you agree with me?
I agree. But because there is no respect here, it doesn't mean that he's just going to walk all over me in front of, in front of her, just because he wants to be in good standing with her. And then where am I? I mean, I'm not.
You're in the basement as the mistress. I see that you're on a path to going, wait a minute, I'm great looking, I'm hardworking, my kids are grown. If you're in your late 40s, you got another good 30, 40 years going. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people that would love the chance to be with you. Yeah. And if I can do one thing today, it's to help you recognize this is not a good person. It's twisted and it's abusive. I believe that you have to take accountability and agency for your role in letting it continue. Equally with that, I'm going to say I also have empathy for you because somewhere along the line, you've learned that being treated this way is okay. Mm-hmm. So I have empathy and I have alarm. They exist concurrently in my point of view. Mm-hmm. And also admiration for the fact that you're even here talking about it.
Yeah. You know, I think in one of the messages that I sent you is my purpose of wanting to be on here is to hopefully that other women that hear my story, that they know that this is not a good situation no matter how you see it. And the further deep you get into this, it only gets but worse. There's nothing like having your own partner, someone that's only yours, someone who you can actually live a life with, because this is not life. Mm-hmm. This is torture.
You're healthy, you're good looking, you're smart, you have family that loves you. Move back to your mom's house and look for another job. Because apparently you can always go back to this. Think about it that way. It might make it more palatable.
Yeah, well, he's been very clear that if I ever completely move out, that's it. I'm not coming back.
Well, there you go.
Fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, that's the kind of love you show for me, that if I try and stand on my own 2 feet, you're going to cut me off?
Yeah, but that's fun. You know, I'm perfect with that.
So this great famous podcast host named Jordan Harbinger was on the show. I'm sure you heard him because you're a faithful listener.
Yes.
Jordan was like, don't ever show your cards until you have a plan. I'm going to give you Jordan's advice. Get yourself set up with your mom, look for a job, and then walk upstairs one day and say, hey, Ben, bye. If he really loves you and let me rephrase that. It's not if he really loves you, because sometimes people really do love, but they don't have courage. You don't want to be with a guy that doesn't have courage.
Exactly.
Get rid of that guy.
Exactly.
Anything else you want to add? I don't know if I can take it. Is there? let me hold on to the desk before you tell me. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, I think we've discussed it all. I just that I wouldn't advise any female to put herself in a situation like this, even if it's long term, short term, whatever term it may be. One day is too much.
Virginia, take your own advice. Thank you so much for being on Cheating When Love Lies.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to Cheating When Love Lies. Please continue to subscribe, rate, and share. And I always love to hear from you at JillianHamilton.online. Thanks so much for listening. See you next time.
I'm Lindsay Chrisley. Join me for the Southern Tea. It's a weekly heart-to-heart from this Southern girl and boy mom who's just trying to navigate life. Nothing is off limits. I talk about it all. Life, career, family, motherhood, faith, and everything in between. It's an ongoing conversation, and I can promise you one thing. I'm